Hello and welcome to this edition of the North Andover Journal. I'm your host, Sam Murray. In this episode, we'll take a look back at the September 13th explosions with North Andover Emergency Management Director, Jeff Coco. We'll visit the new Merchant of the Month Muse Intermedia, presented by the North Andover Merchants Association. The town's Poet Laureate Committee has appointed a new Poet Laureate in Mark Bohr. The Journal was able to interview Mark, as well as a few members on the committee. And did you know the town will be celebrating Columbus Day a little differently this year? In addition to being called Columbus Day, October 8th will also be known as Indigenous Peoples Day in the town of North Andover. We got the chance to talk to Helen Picard, one of the facilitators of this change. All this and more on this week's episode of the North Andover Journal.
Hello folks, this is Lester Rugg here and Irina Grasso. We want to go over various points about October, and we also would like to take a moment. I'm responsible for the morning walking program, and we would like to invite all of you people that might have an interest to join us at the youth center in up by the Common, and we walk from between 9 and 10 o'clock, and you can walk at your own pace, and also if you need to, there are places to sit down as well. We'd like to expand this program, and we certainly invite you all to join us in a very healthy endeavor. And on that note,
abracadabra! The Senior Center will be closed on Monday, October 8th for Columbus Day. The COA board meeting will be on Tuesday, October 9th at 9 a.m. The Triad meeting will be on Tuesday, October 16th at 11 a.m. Senator Tarr's office will be sending a representative for hold office hours here on Wednesday the 17th from 1 to 2 p.m. Lester, what else do we have?
And don't miss these events. We'll be heading out to
abracadabra, it's Rentham.
Okay, we'll keep to see a tribute to Buddy Holly, Richie Vallen, and Big Bopper on Thursday, October 11th. This event is $92 per person, and luncheon is included. The Cultural Social is back. Join us for Mexican folklore, dancing, and storytelling on Saturday, October the 20th at 1:30. This is a free event, and refreshments will be served. Come and have some fun. Join our Halloween pizza party on Monday, October 29th, and noon. Don't wait. Vaccinate. The flu vaccine will be available for seniors 65 and older on Thursday the 4th and Wednesday the 10th from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. Irina, tell me about preventive chronic diseases that we're faced.
Okay. Preventing chronic disease through healthy eating. The Senior Center represents this two-part workshop featuring speaker Sherry Keating, a registered nurse, certified diabetes educator, and founder of Diabetes Care Consulting. The workshop will be held on Saturday, October 6th and 13th at 2 p.m. Don't miss our new special Fresh Table with tastes from around the world. On October 3rd, we'll take a tour of South America with Argentine empanadas, which is small empanadas filled with beef, and Salada Chileana, which is tomato salad, and Peruvian chicken stew and boiled potatoes. And October 10th, we head to Greece. We'll find keftakati, which is Greek meatballs, Santorini with shrimp, which is shrimp cooked in a tomato sauce, rice, and portocalo pita, affectionately known as messy orange cake. These events are limited to 30 seniors, so sign-ups begin a week before, and the cost is only $6. Lester, what else?
I'm going to take that away from you. You're dangerous. I swear. I'm the one that can touch and make a magic difference.
You're not a wizard. I'm the witch.
Next time you can touch me and I will change into a wizard with hair and everything. Don't miss these day trips. On October 1st, we'll be heading to the Topsfield Fair from 9:30 a.m. to 2 p.m. And on the 18th, we'll have the Supper Club meeting or heading to Tokyo Steakhouse in Andover. The Tuesday night dinner party, sponsored by Atria Marlin Place, will be on October 9th at 4 p.m. That's always a great one, too.
Yep.
The Shrine Counselor will be taking appointments on the 3rd, the 17th, the 24th, and the 31st. Irina, tell us a little bit about the lecture series.
Okay. Don't miss the lecture series every Monday at 10 a.m. to 11:30. On October 15th, we'll be visited by Christopher Streeter of the Affordable Hearing LLC. And on the 22nd, we'll hear from Amy from the Better Business Bureau. And on the 29th, we'll have Carol Majahed, the Executive Director of the North Andover Historical Society, presenting The Witches of the Andover.
Obviously, we have been portraying the witches as well. Happy Halloween, everyone.
Hi everybody, and welcome again to another episode of Merchant of the Month. I'm here at 4 High Street at Suite 218 at Muse Intermedia with Ryan McCarthy. Welcome, Ryan.
Thank you.
So what is Muse Intermedia?
So Muse is it's a combination of a couple things. It's a design shop, it's a website development shop, it's an SEO shop. We pretty much do everything and anything revolving around websites, online presence, branding, anything that'll get your name out there and get business in the door.
So do you have a niche as a web designer, and what kinds of clients do you like to work with?
So I find that we've really liked to work with the nonprofit clients the best. Really, it's more of a feel-good for us as a company, but we love working with them because they have an overarching goal that they strive towards, whether it's raising money to cure disease or bring people into the doors of a museum. And that overarching goal really ties into our mission as a company as well, because our mission is to work with people longer term, is to work with people over years and years of time period, as opposed to just coming in, building a website, and then being gone.
So you just did a website for NAMA, and it's fantastic. It's very interactive. It's very easy to use. Right. We've gotten a lot of compliments on it. How difficult was that one to do?
That one was difficult just because it's, we're also involved in the community. So I really wanted to put a little bit extra effort into doing it, just not only for the community, for us, because we're involved here, but also we have a few businesses in the town as well. So we really wanted to provide a great place, a great resource that everybody could see all these wonderful businesses that are in the North Andover region.
Oh, we appreciate it because you did a fantastic job. And you made everything easier for us because it's so interactive. So what was the most interesting project that you've done? What made it interesting?
I think the most interesting website we've done, or project we've worked on, has really been the one that we did for the World Science Festival. They're a New York nonprofit. And the reason why it was so interesting is it's almost the best case scenario for us. It was a website that really looked, I hate to say this, but really wasn't what it should have been when we got there. They had this amazing resource of content that they were sitting on between videos, podcasts, literally thousands of videos and podcasts. And by looking at the website they had, you couldn't tell that at all. So we had a lot of fun building a website that not only was a resource to show what they did during the festival that they ran during the year, but they also do videos all throughout the year, but no one knew about the videos. So building a resource site that not only helped with the festival, but also the videos, and really pushed science and teaching young people and the world as it was, because everybody comes there from all over the world. Really about what they did was really great for us.
So I see you've won numerous awards for what you do, and that you recently won a Webby. Can you tell us what a Webby is, and how it felt to win the Webby?
So a Webby is it's called the Emmys of the website awards. It's kind of a crazy thing that these awards, there's like 15 different awards you can win as a website developer, as a design company. The Webbies have just gotten a lot of recognition because they have judges from all over the world, from the bigger companies, Facebook, Twitter, and all the big ones in the IT world and technology worlds. So it was kind of strange to win, to be honest. We've been doing this for a long time. We never really, we didn't really want to be known as award-winning. We just were doing it because we enjoyed and love what we do. But we put in for the award, and we were quite happy when everything came out that we won. It was a weird process because you go up against, hundreds and hundreds of other people for a single award, and then they narrow it down to 5, and then they do a people's choice where people vote on the winners, and then it got down to the end and we actually won it. We were kind of flabbergasted, to be honest.
Oh, congratulations. That's a big deal.
Thank you.
So what are the few of the key things that a client should know before redesigning a website?
So I really think the best thing is everyone should really know who they are and what they do, and be able to communicate that as best they can on the site. So if you are selling cookies, why does that make it, why are you special? What makes you great at selling cookies or baking cakes or doing that type of work? If you're selling tickets to science events, why are they special? Why should people come and come out to see you for that? You really have to know yourself. You really have to know what makes you unique to bring people to your site, to bring people into that event, or to buy, or to do whatever they want to do on the site.
Thank you, Ryan, so much for taking the time to talk with us today. And thank you, everybody, for joining us at another Merchant of the Month, and we'll see you next month.
Tuesday marked the changing of the guard for the North Andover Poet Laureate Committee, as Mark Bohr was named the 5th Poet Laureate at a ceremony held at Stevens Memorial Library. Mark Bohr is not your typical engineer, as Gail Henney and members of the Poet Laureate Committee were pleased to announce him as the town's official Poet Laureate.
Mark came to us having decided that poetry was his avocation.
Henney said Bohr fit the bill for the town's Poet Laureate, citing his passion for poetry as a big deciding factor.
We were looking for someone who wrote poetry, who was interested in promoting poetry, and who had a plan going forward for poetry in North Andover.
Bohr attended Cornell University and received his degree in engineering, something he still works in to this day. Bohr had a love of music growing up and noticed a connection between music and poetry, citing the lyrics of 60s and 70s pop as his inspiration for writing poetry. From there, Bohr began writing poetry and looked for places to share his work.
I started writing poetry, so then I started looking for places to read it, and going there, you find out there are so many different people with so many different things to say that it's really just a wonderful experience, because you have a way to get inside what's going on inside people. And you find out that there's so much going on in so many people, and that you don't get in ordinary life.
The ceremony included the send-off of the town's previous Poet Laureates, Ken and Nadine Delano, who go by their performing name Kennedine. Kennedine have been hosting a poetry open mic night for 4 years as Poet Laureates, something Ken said was a great way to get people involved with poetry.
But basically it was having the poets who didn't have a place to express themselves to come here on every 4th Tuesday of the month and get a chance to perform, just like we're going to have some of them do tonight that are here.
Following Kennedy's send-off was Bohr's introduction, where he read a poem that he performed in front of the town selectmen meeting the night before. The poem speaks to the decision by North Andover to include 2 names for Columbus Day, now also recognized as Indigenous Peoples Day.
We don't want the lesson shortchanged. We want our kids to learn to truly understand. We want our kids to read from all the missing chapters. We want our kids to gain from every class completely. We want our kids to know that books can have many authors. We want our kids to hear the story of our entire human family.
Following Bohr's speech was his official coronation, including a crown fit for a Poet Laureate. The ceremony included free cake to all who attended, and for those who stuck around were treated to one last Kennedy hosted open mic night.
Huge. What a large,
Actually, small.
trek of a trip
Journey.
it's become.
Henny and the Poet Laureate Committee said they were most excited to see Bohr bring strong social awareness to the position, citing his presence on Facebook as a strong medium to connect with people of all ages.
Mark brings a serious commitment to getting the word out about poetry. His ability to get us up on Facebook. You have to be on social media now to be current, to be accessible to youth, and he's doing that for us.
And one of the things that endeared him to us is he initiated a Facebook page for poetry in the town of North Andover. And he's done some very interesting projects on Facebook, so that's been fun for everybody to take part in too.
I hope that he keeps getting people to come out and do poetry who maybe haven't done it before, and get to, because most people write a poem for a reason, you know, but then they just let it sit on the paper, but we want them to get out and share it, and I hope he just keeps encouraging people to do that.
Bohr said the part of the job he is looking forward to most is going to town events and representing poetry and the arts, something he believes is doing the same.
I think sometimes people forget, and they look at poetry on a page, and sometimes that can be dry. It doesn't work for everyone, but for a lot of people, when poetry is performed, it's like theater. You know, it's a soliloquy, and so that's something that can make it a lot more fun.
Prior to being named the town's Poet Laureate, Bohr has been a committee member, and in 2016 created the Facebook group North Andover Poets Corner, a group that he still maintains to this day. For having a background in something as technical as engineering, Bohr certainly has a way with words. For North Andover Cam, I'm Sam Murray.
So I'm Helen Picard, and I just want to tell you a little bit about the Pennacook. So the land that became North Andover was obtained from the Pennacook people, and in 1646, when the Massachusetts General Court recognized Andover, because we split off later to become North Andover, but when they recognized us in 1646, they also recognized a Pennacook man called Roger. And Roger, in that court document, retained the liberty to fish and to cultivate 4 acres of land. So if you look at our town seal, you can think about the story of Roger. Sadly, about 30 years after we were established, 90% of the Pennacook people of the Merrimack Valley had died from exposure to European diseases. That wasn't just North Andover, that was all over the valley. So this year we asked the North Andover Board of Selectmen to recognize Indigenous Peoples Day on the second Monday in October annually. So they'll be making a proclamation on September 24th to recognize Indigenous peoples, and that will help us to shine a light on part of our story that often goes untold.
If everyone will remember, we discussed when Ms. Picard and others came to our meeting several meetings ago to make the suggestion that we recognize Columbus Day also as Indigenous Peoples Day, and there was a lot of community support in the meeting for that, and we agreed to make a proclamation in that order in the meeting prior to Columbus Day. So I will read that proclamation. Whereas the town of North Andover recognizes that the indigenous peoples of the land that would later become known as the Americas have occupied these lands since time immemorial and values the progress our society has accomplished through American Indian technology, thought, and culture. And whereas the town of North Andover understands that government entities, organizations, and other public institutions should update their policies and practices to better reflect the experiences of American Indian people and uplift our country's indigenous roots, history, and contributions. And whereas Indigenous Peoples Day was first proposed in 1977 by a delegation of Native nations to the United Nations, sponsored International Conference on Discrimination Against Indigenous Populations in the Americas. And whereas in 1990, representatives from 120 Native nations at the First Continental Conference on 500 Years of Indian Resistance unanimously passed a resolution to transform Columbus Day into an occasion to strengthen the process of continental unity and struggle towards liberation, and thereby use the occasion to reveal a more accurate historical record. And whereas the United States federal government, the state of Massachusetts, and the town of North Andover recognize Columbus Day on the second Monday of October in accordance with the federal holiday established in 1937. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Board of Selectmen that the town of North Andover shall also recognize Indigenous Peoples' Day on the second Monday in October. Be it further resolved that the town of North Andover shall continue its efforts to promote the well-being and growth of the American Indian and Indigenous community. Be it further resolved that the Indigenous Peoples' Day shall be used to reflect upon the ongoing struggles of Indigenous peoples on this land and to celebrate the thriving culture and value that Indigenous nations add to our town. Be it further resolved, the town of North Andover encourages other businesses, organizations, and public entities to recognize Indigenous Peoples' Day in conjunction with Columbus Day. In witness thereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the town of North Andover to be affixed this 24th day of September in the year 2018. So, there we have it. I will sign that item.
We received a phone call that we had an issue with several residents having fires coming up in their dwellings, and we suddenly received about 6 calls, realized something was up, and we knew that we had an issue. The fire department was aware of it immediately. We knew we had a gas issue. We suddenly mobilized all our resources, got out there, and what we ended up doing was shutting off the gas to every location possible. We put a blurb out to the town manager immediately sent a citizen's notification out to everybody in the community saying, if you have gas in your house, get out of your house. If you can't, shut your gas off. If you do it safely, but don't return to your home. And meanwhile, we also went to all of our public safety buildings, had the gas disconnected there so we would have, number one, a place to safely shelter our residents from town, and without putting them in harm's way as well. We had multiple fires in our town, at least 6 in residence. I've heard from the fire department the count may be as high as 12. Some of them weren't as severe as others where we had a great deal of structural damage. But all in all, it's been a daunting task for all public safety in our community. Very proud of the response from public safety, police, fire, emergency management, who have come from everywhere. Northern New Hampshire, the southern part of Massachusetts, from the western part. Response was phenomenal, the support that our community received.
Have dry soft deodorant, toothpaste, toothbrushes.
Peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
Do you think maybe they could be brought over to some other places then?
Yeah, yeah, we can do that if you want. Whatever. So yeah, we'll gladly accept whatever you have.
I also have some, I don't know if there's any little kids, but we have little bears and
we have
stuff to keep them.
All of this room over here is all little kids. This is the children's room over here. There's a bag out front with all kinds of toys in it, so that'd be ideal.
Okay, so I just park it right here?
You can park it right here, however it's easiest to unload. Awesome. Let's see if we can get some help.
Great.
Who likes peanut butter and jelly?
My sister and me.
Oh, have I got something for you?
Okay, perfect.
Good.
We'll get this all out.
Okay, this one's going in?
Yeah. Oh, if you want. No, this one's
That's just going right to the furnace.
Okay, this is staying. This is
no, that's going to staging.
Okay.
That's going to go to the staging.
Right back in. The outpouring from our citizens, even people who were affected, have been gracious in donating to the shelter for the needs of those who haven't had anything for the last day or two, where they've been suddenly rushed out of their homes with just basically the clothes on their back. So the outpouring of that is heartwarming to see, especially in times like these where you see so much polarization and things along those lines. It makes you feel good to see as soon as something bad happens, everybody forgets their differences and comes together for the greater good. Overall, in and out, I'd say we probably had maybe about 300 over the course of the day. Not everybody stayed. Some people came and ate. Overnight, we had approximately 125 people sleeping in the shelter. The shelter was very well organized. It worked out very well for what we wanted it to do with it. And this is our first time using the field house as a shelter. And it was well received by everybody who stayed there. We had an additional probably 20 people sleeping in the parking lot, not because we were tight on room. Some people just elected, they were much more comfortable being in their car versus a cot. They thought their seating in their car was a little more comfortable, so they elected to be out there. But the Red Cross diligently went around to all the vehicles, gave them blankets, did goodwill checks to see if they needed everything. So we accommodated everybody to whatever degree that they needed. This is probably one of the most memorable, or second most memorable events that we've had. The first one would probably be the Mother's Day flood that we had. The second one would probably be the Patriots Day flood, which was on par with this event. It was unprecedented from the standpoint of the issue we had, where from a predictability standpoint, when we have flooding, we basically know, even though we cannot prevent it, we know where we're going to have flooding, where it's going to come from, what we're going to be faced with for the most part. And then the challenge is actually meeting what actually happens in dealing with it, mitigating the issues. In this particular instance, number one, it came as a surprise, and randomly, unpredictably, it affected areas of our town and different things that it made it very difficult to comprehend and deal with. And you always had that element of surprise that even when you're responding, you don't know if your next issue is going to happen to be right next to where you were standing.
Hello, my name is Trace Bradshaw. I'm the town clerk and chief election official for the town of North Andover with an update regarding the November 6, 2018 state election. There's lots of differences that have come about with this election. We will be offering early voting as we did in 2016. That will start October 22nd and go to November 2nd. We at least will be doing normal business hours for early voting. You need no reason at all to vote early. You can come to the town hall and obtain your ballot and cast it, and you'll be all set for the November election. Those ballots are automatically counted for the November election. We also have absentee ballots, which are a little different than early voting ballots, that you need not to be able to get to the polls on election day, have a physical disability, or religious reason why you can't get to the polls on election day. Those ballots are going to be made available sometime this week around the 3rd of October in Town Hall. You can actually come and vote in person during our normal business hours for absentee ballots, or you can have a request that we will mail you the ballot, and all you have to do is make sure that it's returned by mail or in person to us by election day at 8 p.m. So be looking for notices regarding early voting. These ballots are done by, we have 3 different ballots this time, one for each, one for precincts 1 to 4, precinct 5 has its own ballot, precinct 6 to 8 has its own ballot. So there's 3 different ballots for this. All parties and all offices are on these ballots, so it's not like the primary that you had to pick a particular ballot. So those will be coming available to us at Town Hall in the next few days. We also will be posting the specimen ballots on our website, so you can go and you can check and make sure that of which ballot you will have to choose from. Also, you can go to our website and it takes you to the Secretary of State's link, which will show you whether you're registered to vote. It's important if you normally haven't voted or you had an issue of changing your address or status, just to double check to make sure you're registered to vote. The deadline to register to vote is Wednesday, October 17th, and we're open till 8 p.m. But if you're not sure, you can always just pick up the phone and call us at our office at 978-688-9501. And if you have any questions at all regarding voting or applying for absentee ballots or overseas ballots, just give us a call and we're glad to help at any time. And thank you so much for your participation. Your vote's very important to us, and we look forward to seeing you on November 6th. Thank you.
Well, that'll wrap things up for this week. Make sure to check out our next episode where we will interview businesses affected by the gas outages, check out highlights from the undefeated Scarlet Knight football team, and much more. As always, if you have a news story or idea for a journal segment, please email us at thejournal@northandovercam.org. I'm Sam Murray. Thanks for joining us.